and I'll be sharing with you the activity, How Many Fish in the Sea? In this activity, students estimate the size of a fish species using two different methods, observation and sampling. Now, this is an elementary lesson, and because estimation is a really important skill in elementary math, and students will be counting and adding and multiplying in the activity, the lesson fits really well in the elementary math classroom, but it also has strong ties to both science and social studies. Now, before jumping into the activity, you'll have to do just a little bit of preparation. In the activity, you'll have to use a tarp. And on the tarp, create a 10-foot by 10-foot grid. So you'll use tape to mark out 10 rows by 10 rows. You'll also have to secure about 1,000 fish. So this could be any small item like a goldfish cracker or a goldfish candy. For the purposes of our demonstration, we've shrunk our tarp into this 3-foot by 3-foot grid. Now, the first thing you'll want to do is have students look at the tarp or the grid and estimate just by looking how many fish they think are in the sea or on the tarp. You'll want to write their estimates somewhere visible for reference later at the end of the activity. Now, you'll want to ask students how they think we might be able to get an even more accurate estimate. Students might say a variety of ideas, for example, counting the number of fish in one square and multiplying that by the number of total squares. If they don't come to it on their own, tell students that one way to get a more accurate estimate is to take an average of multiple squares and then multiply that average by the total number of squares. This is a method called sampling. Now, 5 students will go fishing in our sea by throwing their tokens on the grid and collecting the fish from the square where their token landed. So when I say go, throw your chip onto the grid and then collect the beads that are in the square where your token lands. Ready, set, go! Once you've collected your beads, you can count them. So let's take a look at what happened. Ashley has 4 fish, Leslie has 25, Nadia has 10, Ben has 16, and Caroline has 12. So now we need to find the average number of fish per square. So to do that, of course, we need to add up all of our numbers, and we'll divide by the number of people who went fishing. So our total is 67, and we'll divide by 5, so that gives us an average of 13.4 fish per square. Now, we'll ask students, how do we use that number to figure out the total number of fish on our grid? And of course, the students will suggest that we multiply that average per square by the number of squares on the grid, 100. When we do that, we get a total of 1,340 fish. So this is our estimate using the sampling method. Now, at this point, you'll want to refer students back to that original estimation list on the board and see how your estimates using sampling compare to your eyeball estimates. Now, you could extend this lesson by experimenting with different ways of scattering the fish on the grid, or even having more people go fishing, so you're averaging more squares. And you could see how these two things could impact the estimate and either bring it closer to the number of fish on the grid, which was 1,000, or farther away. Like all of our lessons, there's some discussion questions to help students debrief this activity. One of these questions, for example, has students considering what type of population would be easier to count using a direct method or a sampling method. Students might mention, for example, that a population that is small and in a contained space, like for instance rabbits in a pen, might be easier to count using the direct method, whereas a population that is large or spread over a large geographical area, like deer in a field, for example, might be easier to count using sampling. Students are also asked to consider how they might use sampling to count the number of students in their school. For a middle school lesson on counting populations, check out the activity Everything Counts. In this lesson, students conduct a mini census and then use different methods of estimation to determine the size of a threatened mouse species. For more great lessons on population and the related issues, visit our website, www.populationeducation.org. Thanks for watching.